Hello everyone, it's Chris Williams, here to present to you my alternative assessment um, assignment for you guys. The topic that I have is fractions, and just to give you a little background of the students that I serve students that have been qualified to receive special education services. So kind of what we've learned, and most of you have learned already, or been exposed to, introduced into your schools or your school districts, is a response to intervention and instruction, the RTI squared model. So the students that I serve, they have already gone through the tiers. They've already been identified as either having a learning disability in math, primarily because I am the math interventionist, or one of the 6 math interventionists that we have here at the school. So those are the type of students that I am teaching and serving in my classroom. Also, I do co-teach in the 7th grade classroom, and that's an inclusion class. I believe the video I sent out before was part of the inclusion class that you saw me for my formative assessment. But get back to the alternative assessment. The topic was on fractions. Now, when I'm first introducing fractions, I'll usually like to kind of go over the basics of identifying fractions, finding fractions on a number line, and also introducing those key terms. Obviously, fractions are a part of a whole. Your denominator tells you how many parts you need to make a whole, and then your numerator will tell me how many parts you have, or for them, how many parts that are shaded. Okay, so to quickly assess my students' learning, I find it really creative and fun for them at times to kind of get away from the traditional pencil and paper worksheet, test, quiz, or what have you that they get in their normal classes. So in my class, I'm able to be a little creative, and we kind of be more specific and focus on those deficits they have in math. So if I'm teaching now, I'm actually teaching comparing fractions. Okay, so what I have for you, as far as my creative way to assess their learning, I may tell them pull out your fraction cutout models. Okay, and here's what they have. Okay, so these are my cutout models, and I use a 8x11 printer paper. Okay, with the straight edge, so you guys can see. And then you have a whole, kind of go through the arms. You have your half, your thirds, your fourths, okay, your sixths, and then your eighths. Okay, I probably wouldn't get any lower than the eighths, because obviously you can kind of see that it gets to be a little small, a little tight, and the cutouts won't exactly match up to a whole. So I usually stop there about 1/8, okay, or for the cutouts. So actually gone through the teaching and learning, and I taught them how to compare fractions, or to identify fractions, or find equivalent fractions. I would say to them, find me all the equivalent fractions to 1/2. Okay, so they'll pull out 1/2, the model, their cutout model, and then they'll find out all the equivalent fractions, okay, to equal 1/2. So let's just say 1/6. Okay, so I'll have them, and they will have to, again, I'm going to try to show you the best way I can, just standing this up. Okay, so, and they would write this down. Okay, write it on a whiteboard, or they just show me. Okay, what I usually do is I just have them match it up right underneath. Okay, or I like to put it right on top. Put it on top is a little bit better, because they can concretely and build those conceptual understandings that if am I able to completely cover my 1/2 with the parts of the fraction. Obviously this here is 3/6. Okay, then it's the equivalent fraction. Okay, and I like to do that. And I'll give them time to do it, and I'll ask them to find all the equivalent fractions for 1/2. Let me go to 1/3, 1/8, Honestly, what I'm trying to do is honestly build their conceptual understanding. Again, the students that I'm serving usually don't grasp the understanding just from a pencil and paper, and this is a creative way, and I'm able to do that with them. Obviously, we'll go through the whole. Also say 1/4, okay? Let's say compare 1/4, okay, or 1/4, I should say, to 1/2, okay? Honestly, it's just building their benchmark fractions to understand when we compare fractions, okay? Actually, I can turn that around. I'll go backward, okay? When comparing fractions, all right? So obviously, they'll know that 1/2 is greater than 1/4, okay? And I'll play with it a little bit. I'll even say, let's go with 2/3. Okay, it's 2/3 greater than 2/4. Okay, and again, they'll lay this down on their desk. And if I can show you the best way I can, that 2/3 is obviously more than 2/4. Okay, but again, this is assessing them, walking around the classroom, just assessing their ability to either compare fractions, find equivalent fractions, and I will also get into a little bit adding fractions. At this point, once we've built that concrete knowledge of comparing fractions, finding equivalent fractions, add or subtract fractions, we'll get into more of the abstract learning for them to be able to hone in that process, okay, to build their cognitive skills, also to master the skills that I'm teaching, master their objectives. The standard, because, and honestly, I'll go back a little bit, the standard that I am teaching, this is actually a 4th grade standard. It's first introducing fractions, equivalent fractions, I should say, comparing fractions, add and subtract fractions. They get into a little bit of modeling and multiplying and dividing fractions, but it's 4th grade standard. Obviously, I am going back to some of the gaps that the students may have, and I'm building and I'm filling those gaps to kind of build their learning and kind of scaffolding down to see where I can meet them at as interventionists. That is it. Again, this is a quick, easy way. If you want to be able to do this, obviously, I just use 8x11 printer paper. I cut them out. I usually do the cut up the width way. So all of these shapes, obviously, or cutouts, I should say, will cut out lengthwise. So you just set them up. It's easier if I be able to lay it down, but I want you guys to see. Okay, obviously lengthwise, it'll add up. Let's see, it'll be the same. Okay, and I got that backwards a little bit, but the idea is there. So 8x11 piece of paper. I won't go any higher than 1/8. Okay, 1/8. I won't go any higher than that because then it's kind of getting to really tight squeezes. Unless you have more of the construction paper, poster paper. Obviously, you can get into more fractions, build more fractions. And but I just like to start off with benchmark fractions, build their conceptual knowledge, to get into their building it concretely, and then going to abstract and assessing them as each objective is being taught. Thank you. Hope everyone has a blessed day. It's Chris signing out. Bye, guys.